Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Justin from the Rise Up podcast. I'm here with Rebecca Moskal. She is the CEO and founder of the Communique group out of Scotland/UK area. They are a luxury boutique brand development and marketing agency. Woo! I got that out, I think. I told Rebecca before we started, my coffee hasn't quite kicked in yet. So we're on the other sides of the world today. So Rebecca, welcome to the Rise Up podcast. I appreciate you hanging out with me today.
Thank you so much, Justin. Lovely to be here. Appreciate the opportunity.
You bet. So, okay. I always love starting at the beginning to kind of give everybody the lay of the land here. So tell me, in your words, about the Communique group, kind of how it all began, how you started the agency, what do you do specifically, kind of just peel back the curtain on that. Who do you serve specifically? Just at a 30,000 foot view, if that's all right.
Absolutely. Communique was founded in 2009, kind of a phoenix rising from the ashes. I had been let go from a corporate job. I had been in the corporate world about 12 years. But as you know, 2008, 2009, the sky was falling. A lot of people were being made redundant. And so decided that this was a chance. I never would have been brave enough to leave the comforts of corporate work with a paycheck every 2 weeks and with healthcare and all of that. But it was kind of the universe telling me if it's ever a time to go start your new thing, your own thing, now is the time. And so at that point in time, there were a lot of brands. I'd been working in the jewelry industry for more than 10 years at that point, that needed marketing expertise. But because of the way the economy was, a lot of people were, being made redundant, being let go. And so I could provide a service on a consultancy basis. And it was really a fortuitous opportunity, a fortuitous time. And started out small, working with, one or two clients, working basically as an in-house marketing department for hire. So doing, whether it was media planning and buying, whether it was public relations, whether it was developing trade show events or, designing booths, things like that. Really anything that a client would need within the realm of marketing was what we were doing. And slowly but surely, grew our client roster, working in, the US domestically, working with clients abroad, working with designers, working with retailers. We represented a very well-known trade show for more than 6 years. So it was, honestly, it was the best thing that ever happened to me was being made redundant back in 2009. Absolutely. So I had worked in-house for Bulgari, David Yurman, and Van Cleef& Arpels. That was my, 10-year tenure working
Okay.
in the corporate world. And then since then have worked with small independent designers from Annabelle Higgins to Miseno, based out of Italy, to Beda & Co., the watch brand, TW Steel, the watch brand. We represented JCK, the largest jewelry trade show in North America. We were their PR arm for more than 5 years. So it's run the gamut. No client is too big or too small. We really customize our services based on clients' needs.
Yeah. So what is your kind of, within the luxury industry, what is your favorite, if you had a favorite kind of sub niche, what is that? Or who is that?
For me, it's a designer who is young in their journey. So my analogy was always when you work for a heritage brand, a Bulgari and a Van Cleef that have 100-year lineage and multi-million dollar marketing budgets, you're kind of like captain of a cruise ship. And in order to make a turn, you have to start turning that wheel miles and miles in advance.
Yeah.
But when you work with a younger designer, not necessarily by age, but, might be newer to the industry or just starting to establish their brand, it's like being on a speedboat. And while you feel every bump, it's yours to guide to your destiny to fulfill. And you can really, as a marketer, you can see the change and effect on their business nearly instantaneously. And that for me, is the exciting part. I really, with every client that we work with, I look at them as being a partner in their business, how to make them grow, how to achieve their goals. And, being an independent boutique agency is really, you can really kind of get into that nitty gritty of clients' business.
So can you give me an example of a past client that you like in that specific scenario, like a younger designer? Like, what did you do for them specifically? Just give me a quick verbal case study of how what you did for them and how you got them
Sure.
whatever you did for them.
Sure.
Yeah.
So there was a designer who we were working with. She was, newer to the industry, beautiful pieces, working, taking vintage British sporting medals and kind of bringing them to life.
Oh, cool.
And we got her coverage in the September issue of Vogue. And from that, not only did she have immediate sales direct to consumer, but retailers started knocking on her door and wanted to carry the collection. And
Mm.
so that was something that, again, it was immediate. It was, several weeks of work. It was, a couple trips to New York to do presentations. But once that editorial feature was live, it changed the track of her business.
Oh, that's cool. I love that stuff. I love stories like that, because all it takes in some time in some ways is just the right, the right fit for the right time at the right venue, and
Absolutely. I
there it
mean, look at the
goes.
designer who just designed Taylor Swift's engagement ring. I mean, she was known within the industry. She's an incredible jeweler, beautiful, engraving work, but now she's nearly a household name. So it's,
Wow.
yeah,
That's cool. And to be a part of that journey is, I imagine it's rewarding, right? I imagine it's exciting and
yeah,
probably challenging at points.
yes, yes.
The road of
There's always
entrepreneurship is
good with
all
the bad.
yeah, it's always
Exactly.
that
You
way,
know
right?
it.
It's never fun
Yes.
in some ways.
Yes.
Okay, so what does a typical day look like for you right now?
I think there's no typical day, and that's why I love what I do. So, because of living in the UK and so much of the work that we do is US based with journalists, media, things like that, I generally have a little bit of time, free time in the morning to get my thoughts together, to do early pitching, to do research, to respond to emails that came in overnight. From there, generally, client calls for the first couple of hours as people here in the UK are waking up, eventually, in the US,
Mhm.
um, meeting with journalists, um, a lot of strategy meetings with my own team. So it varies. It really depends on, what the week's goals are, who the, immediate clients that have needs are. So no day is similar. And that's really why I love what I do.
Good. What are you seeing in the industry? Like, what major shifts in are you seeing in the industry right now? So I got that out correctly, I think. I told you my coffee hasn't quite kicked in yet.
Um, well, certainly with the price of gold just surpassing 4,000 an ounce has made a lot of people kind of look at alternative metals and or, is gold the right metal to be using? So we're seeing, designers looking towards silver or platinum that are, just great alternatives.
Mhm.
Um, Beyond that, I mean, we have and I don't really want to touch this with a barge pole, but the mined versus lab grown conversation that continues to be a point of contention for many. But that's certainly something that we deal with on a, if not a daily basis, on a weekly basis. So,
Yeah. It's interesting. I've had a few conversations with other jewelers, jewelry makers, and jewelry store owners, and I would probably say, at least this is my opinion, and maybe you could get like I would love to hear what you think about this too on the lab grown versus
mm,
natural.
yep,
Is here's what I'm hearing is a lot of people are pretty open to it. That's what I'm
mm,
hearing. Now there's a trade-off, right? Resale value and those kind of things that you're gonna face at, if that is in play.
yes,
But the overall market, what I'm hearing is the overall like consumer market is really like okay with lab grown diamonds. So what it like
absolutely.
without your I know you said you don't want to touch it with a barge pole, but I'm gonna have you touch it with a barge pole. What is your thought on it? I mean, it's just your opinion, so it's not like,
I consider myself as a jewelry professional. I'm here to serve. I'm here to help a consumer find
they need.
a beautiful piece of jewelry, whether it's a self purchase, whether it's something to mark a milestone, whether it's to make a commitment. Ultimately, it's up to the consumer. So, as a jewelry professional, we're here to educate, to ask questions. So, when that person is looking to make their decision, they feel that they are making the best purchase for themselves.
Mm,
And so whether that's mine, whether that's lab grown, that's not for me to decide. As
mm.
long as they understand, to your earlier point rather, about resale value, things like that. Um, it's up to the consumer. So I'm here to educate.
That is a very politically correct answer.
I've been doing this a long time.
I appreciate it, Rebecca. I appreciate your honesty. Okay.
I think there's room for both, to be very honest.
Okay. All right. There you go. I got it. I got you. I got it out of you. So, in your current efforts as you're building your agency, what's working well for you, and what's been frustrating?
Working well is digital. I mean, the amount of data that is readily available to target a consumer, an audience, a sector, is phenomenal. I think back, I started my career more than 25 years ago as a media planner at an agency in New York City. Um, and I just feel like there was no data. I feel like we were really, we were blind as opposed to where we are in 2025. So being able to hone,
Mhm.
really so targeted to reach a consumer, their interests, it's really, I'm wowed by it on a daily basis, to be very honest. Um, I think my challenge is, especially that we work with a lot of younger designers that maybe don't have the financial ability to invest large sums of money to participate in um, certain, advertising campaigns, things like that, that editorial has become so pay to play. And that, it leaves out a lot of younger, newer designers. They can't get the coverage seemingly because they can't afford to run, a six-figure campaign and with media outlets. So
Yeah.
that's definitely a challenge. I mean, it makes me better at my job because I've become a more astute storyteller. What truly is the point of differentiation? What is a journalist looking for? How does this product necessarily work for the stories that they're working on? But it's definitely a challenge. So,
Yeah. Um, yeah, I can imagine because you have, when you have, when you're doing public campaigns, I mean, it's a very costly
yes,
endeavor,
yes,
in my opinion, it's kind of like you have to really project ROI, like what is it in the end? What's it going to convert for you if you can't do it to just lose money? Like that would be a very
yes.
bad investment. Um, but okay. So how are you like, you mentioned kind of using data and all that. How are you leveraging AI for a lot of your research? Are you like how do you see that playing into not only your efforts as, growing your agency, but also do you use that with your clients too? That makes sense.
Sure. So AI, I feel like it's a very two-edged sword. So I do use it for research. I will use it if I'm, if I have an idea in mind, like if we're doing branding work for a client and kind of just need someone to um, almost brainstorm with, if I don't have one of my team members available. I think it brings a unique perspective that I might not have thought of. That said, um, I don't think it's here to replace what we do. I don't think I think the human element is so key to marketing, to public relations. I think AI is never going to replace a relationship with a 20-year relationship with a journalist. So,
That's true. I agree. It's useful in many fronts, but also
yes, it's a
the
great tool,
yeah,
Justin.
yeah,
It's a great tool,
yeah,
but I think it has its time and place.
yeah.
It's not something um, that I am using, I would say, on a daily basis.
Okay. So what in your at Communique, what metrics are you focused on improving right now?
It varies depending on the campaign. Certainly if it's, a digital buy that we're doing, that would be one thing. If it is, um, a social media campaign, it could be, likes or clicks or it's so subjective right now. I think that's actually a really, if anybody has a great answer to that question, I would love to hear it.
Okay. What, where okay, looking forward, like, where do you wanna be 6, 12 months from now? So if we're having a conversation, a year from today, like, what does that look like for you?
For our firm
Yeah,
meeting,
yeah.
continuing to work with really exciting, innovative makers, whether that's jewelry, whether that's art, whether that's, in different industries, having conversations now outside of jewelry, which has been really exciting for me personally. So,
Yeah. And are you allowed to elaborate on that a little bit more or not?
um, in 6 months' time, hopefully, we'll be
Got it.
having.
Got it.
Yes.
I respect that. I respect that.
Yes. Thank you.
You don't want to give away the trades, I get it.
Yes. Still
Okay.
within luxury though. I think, over the quarter century that I've been working, I've had the conversation with that high net worth individual, with that luxury consumer. So what are they looking for? How do we talk to them? What will
Mm,
they respond to? So I think we can take that skill set and use that for other luxury goods beyond jewelry. So that's a focus of ours at the moment.
cool. Yeah, expanding kind of within, laterally within the luxury industry. Okay, cool.
Exactly. Yes.
So if you could wave a metaphorical magic wand
Okay.
and fix just one thing in your business that is holding you back or slowing you down, what would that be?
More hours in a day.
Yeah. Don't we all? We all
um,
wish we had that,
yes, yes.
Okay.
Um, I think that's personally one of the challenges that I could use a 30-hour day. Beyond that, um,
Can you elaborate on that a little bit more? Like why is that?
um, Communique has been my baby for more than 15 years. And when we pitch new business, when we meet new clients, I like to be directly involved. And though I have a great team and I trust them implicitly, I like to keep my finger on the pulse of everything we're doing. And so sometimes there's just not enough hours in the day. So,
Ah, got it. Okay. All
yeah,
right. Well, it's good. I mean, that's the as a founder of the agency, I mean, you got to know what's going on in it, to make
yes,
sure that everything's running smoothly and all of that. You can't just like, see you later. I'm gonna be gone for a year. You're like,
yes. And
Okay.
I still love to do the work. This is my company. I am the founder. It's, there's a lot of administration and things that come with that. As you run your own business.
Mhm.
But I still love to roll up my sleeves. I still love to do the pitching. I still love to build relationships with new journalists or follow up with those that I've known for a decade or more. So there's a lot of spinning plates. So.
Okay. All right. So I mean, as you kind of w- here's a question for you. What keeps you hopeful and energetic when times of this road that we call entrepreneurship gets tough?
Mhm.
Um, what keeps you hopeful and energetic through those times?
I think that I continually find new talent that's inspiring. I think one of the upsides of social media, I know we can all go down rabbit holes and, be in our feed for hours a day. Um, Specifically in the luxury industry, I think social media has allowed us to connect with and view so many talented creators, whether that means designers, whether that means um, artists. It really, he runs the
Mhm.
gamut. Um, and the thought of being able to help them grow their business or interact or um, collaborations, outside of our immediate lane are always super exciting. Um, so I think it's the possibility of new partnerships, of new adventures that really keeps me positive um, on those days when the world feels otherwise.
When it's a bit challenging.
Yes.
Here's a question for you. I mean, kind of diving into that a bit more, if you don't mind. Like, if you were to find somebody that inspires you, that has whether if it's jewelry specifically or even outside of those lanes that you're exploring, like what are the criteria that would make them an ideal client for you? I know it's gonna be
That
hard
they
to answer that specifically, but broad strokes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. For me, it's really that they have, a point of differentiation. That there is something truly unique about what they're doing, what they're making, what they're saying, that I could then build a story around that.
Mm,
And I think that's ultimately, that's where the nature of what I do for all of our clients begins. It's truly establishing a story. So what is their unique, selling property? What is their unique point of differentiation among everybody else who might be doing something similar? And then what is the story we build around it? How are we going to convey that story? Who are we going to tell it to? How are we going to reach them? So you kind of
right.
go on, the journey from there. So, yeah, my scroll stops when I see something that I've not seen before. Um, Currently, we're working with a jewelry designer. She's Scottish. Her name is Ebba Goring, and her little tagline is "From cotton to gold," and she hand stitches thread that is then cast into precious metals. And in all my years, I've never seen anything like it. And
Wow.
literally, it's just she's a delight. She's a lovely human, but she is so talented. And when I see pictures of her jewelry, I was like, what is this? I have to meet her. I have to understand what this process is. So, yeah, it's a point of differentiation.
The artisan, the craftsmanship, right? The artisanry? Is that the right
Yes.
word?
Yes.
Sorry. It's that's what never ceases to amaze me about creativity is that you can go a while just kind of like, okay, yeah, I've seen that before, same stuff. And then you're like, what is that?
Yes.
You know, same thing with
Yes.
music, same thing with, the way somebody can write or, in your case, in your world, it's jewelry and, in the luxury industry where they're crafting something. You're like, how did you come up with that? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You know? Um,
Absolutely.
okay.
And, in terms of luxury products, how you can justify the price point. If
Yeah.
something is handcrafted, if it's sourced from unique materials, if it takes 12 people 30 days to make something, it's all about that journey. So, yeah, the craft is supremely important.
Yeah. I love it. And that's the thing. I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think AI could touch that stuff because that's like,
No.
that comes from within. That's
Yes.
a human expression. You know what I mean? Um,
Well said. Yes, I could not
so
agree more.
okay. Um, Couple more questions for you. Looking back at this journey that you've had, starting Communique, the ups and downs with that and where you are now, what is one piece of business advice you would give to your younger self if you could go
Keep
back?
going. Keep going. That there's going to be hard days, there's going to be celebratory days, but just keep going.
Mm,
I honestly, I never dreamed of the life I live today in a professional world um, when I started this journey in 2009, that I would have represented the clients, that I would have met the people, that I would have traveled to far flung destinations. Um, Absolutely. Just keep going.
keep going. Keep going.
Yeah.
What would you tell somebody um who is just starting? Sorry, I have more than two questions. uh I lied. I'm sorry. What would you tell somebody who is starting, like maybe they're kind of dabbling in jewelry, or they're
Mhm.
starting to explore that creativity, that wants them to stand out. What would you, and I'm trying to formulate my words here, so please kind of bear with me as I'm verbally
Of
processing.
course. Of course.
What would you give them as far your advice on things they could do at the beginning of their journey that would set them up for success later on?
I think that's an excellent question. Um, First, finding their point of differentiation. What makes them unique? I think you can't be everything to everyone. And so, kind of finding your own path of what you want to be about. Specifically, if it's a designer, they can always increase the breadth of their collection in time, but what do you want to launch with? As the saying goes, you only have one chance to make a first impression. So
Mhm.
really focusing on what they want their name to be associated with, kind of honing in on that message. I always say, when I meet a potential client for the first time, I was like, what's your 30-second elevator pitch? Like, explain to me you and your brand in 30 seconds, because most times you won't even get that amount of time in order to introduce yourself, especially if, you're prepping someone who's never done a trade show before. So if you're standing, at a counter and a buyer from your dream retailer comes, what what are you going to
What do you
make the
say?
most of those 10 seconds? Exactly.
Yeah.
So I would advise to give a lot of thought to that.
Mm. Do you think these, jewelry, what's m okay, what's I told you I lied to you. And then I'll wrap up because I wanna be appropriate of time. But I am curious, because you're bringing up something to me, something that I think somebody listening to this could really find value in, is not only honing in their pitch and, like, who they are and what they could say in a very quick synopsis, but what
Mhm.
if they're not ready to hire, like, Communique Group? You know what I mean? Like, there's a
Of
gap
course.
there. What would you tell an inspiring designer, creator, not necessarily in jewelry, but, just in general, of what they could do in those early days, or even if they've been in the game for a little while, to get to the level where they could be like, okay, we're ready for an agency, an agency to come in and really expand on this.
Sure. I think it's really trying to figure out who they are and what they're about. And certainly, an agency would be able to refine that. But I think um, if you're going, to approach someone, you have to be comfortable and confident in who you are and what you're about. So knowing, again, what your brand represents, having a strong product, whether that's a collection, whether that's um, portfolio. It really, depends
Mm,
on the person or the designer. Um, and be ready and willing to listen and to collaborate. I
mm,
think starting a journey can be very insular, can be very isolating, and I think when you start to um, have conversations or when you start to ask for opinions, you have to be ready for what you're going to be told or,
mm.
um,
It
you
could
know,
hurt.
both good and bad.
Yeah, could
Exactly,
hurt. It could be great.
exactly.
Could hurt. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So being mindful that to seek expertise in areas that you might not be as strong in.
Mm,
So,
mm. Good advice. Good advice. I appreciate you sharing that. Um, and I have a final question for you. So now I am telling
yes.
the truth. uh, what? Okay, fine. Just how do people find out about you? If somebody is in the right sphere, they got something that may be unique. They have all of the things that you've outlined, like how to, they have their pitch down. They have their unique differentiator. Wow.
Yep.
Um, like they're primed for somebody to partner with Communique.
Yep.
How do they find you? How do they reach out to you?
An email on either via our website, it's just info@communique.group, or they can find me on Instagram, Rebecca Moskal. I'm always open to having a conversation, always love to meet new people, even if they're not ready. Happy to have a conversation,
Wow.
always, willing to brainstorm and learn more and, see how I can help. Clients that we work with today, two of them, we started a journey 10 years ago and they didn't become clients for many years, but I still like to, help and assist and in any way I can. So always willing to have a conversation. So send
Oh,
the email, be brave.
that's awesome. So yeah, I'll put the links in the show notes. So it's
Thank you.
communiquegroup.group. I
Yep.
believe that's the URL. So I'll put that in there. And Rebecca, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate your insight and your willingness to give advice and everything that you're doing. And if nobody's told you today, I'm going to tell you, I'm proud of you. Thank you so
You're so
much for
kind.
taking that step to on your entrepreneurial journey way back in 2009. Um, and and look where it's led you. I mean, that's sometimes what it takes, right? It takes that step of, and going and diving into that. And I'm just proud of you for sticking with it and for building such an
Thank you, my
amazing
friend.
agency and helping so many uh, designers and brands throughout the world. And so, thanks, Rebecca.
Absolute pleasure. I appreciate your time.
All right, everybody. That wraps up today's episode on Rise Up Podcast. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.